Everybody ready? All right, so I'm Officer Michael Bullock, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, last of B-U-L-L-O-C-K with the Austin Police Department Public Information Office. So this incident started originally this morning at 3:13 a.m. when officers responded to a theft call at 3816 South Lamar Boulevard at the Retreat Apartments. At that time, call text indicated that a male suspect was forcing entry into a community mailbox and was stealing multiple items out of that mailbox. When officers arrived on scene, they did locate the male suspect. When they went to make contact with him, he began fleeing on foot as officers chased after him. Upon catching up to the male suspect, he began actively resisting and fighting officers as they were taking him into custody. After taking that suspect into custody, officers began the investigation into the initial incident and had the suspect transported to a local area hospital as they believed him to be under the influence of some type of narcotic. After being treated and released from the hospital, officers were going to transport the suspect to Travis County Jail. Upon exiting the hospital, the suspect again tried to flee on foot and began running towards Ben White Boulevard. As the suspect made it onto the highway, he attempted to gain access to passing vehicles in order to further flee the area. Once officers were trying to catch up to the suspect, he was then able to gain access to an APD patrol unit and began fleeing in that unit. Officers were led to this location, which is the 1300 block of Southport Drive. And once our officers arrived here, they were directed by multiple members of the community to a particular residence where the suspect had gained entry. Officers were able to set up containment and quickly evacuate the residence as well as the nearby area thanks to the assistance of the community, and our SWAT team was notified as the suspect had barricaded himself inside. While inside, officers waited for our SWAT team to arrive. When SWAT and our hostage negotiation team arrived, they began trying to make contact with the suspect who was still inside. The suspect was not cooperative and would refuse to speak with officers or come out. After being on scene, the suspect then fled the original residence into an adjacent residence and forced entry into that location as well. Yet again, thanks to the assistance of the community, we were directed to a particular unit where the suspect had likely entered, and we were able to quickly evacuate and again contain the area. Upon setting up containment, our SWAT team again tried to make contact with the suspect, who remained uncooperative. After being on scene here for some time, as you all know, the suspect was still inside, and our SWAT team was able to make entry, locate the suspect, and again take him into custody. As they were doing, the suspect again was actively fighting and resisting officers. The suspect is now in custody and is being transported to Travis County Jail. At this point in time, it has been learned that he likely has multiple felony warrants, as well as he's going to face potential charges for mail theft, evading arrest, resisting arrest, escape, and possibly some additional charges beyond that. At this point in time, you can see we've cleared out most of the area. So we have lifted the shelter in place that was done through a reverse 911 activation when we learned that he made entry into an initial residence.
How did he manage to get from one residence to the other when the police were on scene?
As you can see, this is a very well-populated area, and houses are very close together. These are all quadplexes. And so it's difficult to set up containment on just one particular house. So we have to set it up on a larger area. And so sometimes it can happen where suspects, as we're trying to set up containment, are able to move from one fence to the next. He was not able to get far, but we did have containment on the area, so he wasn't able to escape the perimeter.
I guess the next question would be, how did he manage to get a squad car?
The details of all of that are going to be looked into. We do know he gained access. How exactly he gained that access, I'm not sure.
My question is, why did it take so long to take him down when he was unarmed?
So anytime we have a case like this, especially when someone's going into multiple different residences where we don't know, there's a potential for firearms to be inside, for knives, weapons, anything can be inside these residences when they're not his. And so there's a possibility when we come to these scenes that he may not have come here armed, but he might be able to arm himself once inside someone else's residence.
Can you talk to us about the situation where he entered one of the windows and there were residents inside and even 2 children were there?
All I can tell you about that one is, sorry, wait for the loud truck to pass. On that one, one of those things where we were quickly directed to the area and officers immediately went there and evacuated everybody that was inside, and no civilians were injured at all. So we were able to quickly get them to safety.
So how many total units did he hop, do we think, throughout this process, and would you ever say this was considered a hostage situation or absolutely not?
So I don't know exactly how many residents he may have gained access. He went from one building to the next for sure, but these are all quadplexes, and so how many actual units he went into, I can't quite tell you. We don't have any information that said he had like a hostage, anyone captured inside, and our SWAT team was able to react so quickly to prevent that from happening. They were able to go in and quickly remove any residences to where it was just him inside.
On the scanner this morning, officers were saying they thought there may have been a service weapon inside that patrol unit. Is that inaccurate?
Inside the patrol weapons, like service weapons, all of our patrol units are equipped with shotguns. So all of them have shotguns inside of the patrol unit, but the suspect was never able to gain access to them at any point in time because they have locking mechanisms on them.
Can you give us identification of the suspect?
At this point in time, we're still verifying 100% who he is, so I can't give you any detail exactly who he is, but obviously affidavits are forthcoming once we can verify his identity.
His father was really...
Hang on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the father was trying to collaborate with you guys. Talk to us a little bit about that collaboration.
Sure. Obviously, we understand that these can be very emotionally charged situations. The difficulty here is that when sorry, I'm trying to make sure that I answer everybody's questions here. The difficulty is that he enters a residence and we are attempting to make contact with him, and we're trying to talk to him to get him to come out on his own, and our SWAT team as well as our hostage negotiation team, that's what they do. But we can't allow a civilian to go inside of a residence when we can't guarantee his safety inside of there. So we're not going to let anybody go inside and potentially risk them getting harmed or anything like that. So I understand that it's frustrating to some family members, but the things that we do and the methods that we use are to protect everybody, including the suspect as well as his family members.
Getting him on a bullhorn would not be an option either.
We tried. We tried.
The father.
We tried a lot of different methods in order to make contact with them, including ways that we could use the father. Anytime we have family, we will always try to use them as best we can, but sometimes people, when situations become emotional, people have vested interest, and we understand that, and so we try to act as the intermediary so that we can try to keep calm in a situation.
Is he a resident of the specific neighborhood?
Not aware that he is an actual resident here.
Was he injured?
As far as I'm aware, related to these incidents, if he is, it's only minor. A precaution is that we're always going to have someone transported to the hospital just to make sure that they are medically cleared.
And how are you guys going to be guarding him now that he's in the hospital?
So multiple officers are with him. Again, obviously, at this point in time, he's demonstrated he's an escape risk, and so there are multiple officers with him at this point in time.
What kind of injuries did he have?
There was a man that
Sorry.
was taken out and brought into an ambulance in a green shirt. Do you know what his story was, or what his injuries were, if any?
To my knowledge, nobody else was injured. The likelihood of that one is that it is obviously hot, and when we have residents that are out of their homes that may not be able to go inside, some people may suffer heat-related issues. But to my knowledge, nobody was actually injured as a result of the incident.
So the father said that he asked to speak with his son on a bullhorn, but was told that that was against policy. So could you just explain what the policies are when it comes to allowing family members to speak with somebody who is barricaded?
So we typically don't go into specific tactics on each situation because each one of these calls is very fluid. And like I mentioned earlier, in particular, what we try to do is to convey messages from family through us, so that way it reduces the likelihood of a situation becoming even more emotionally charged. So everything will vary by call in each situation, but it is not typically our practice that we would allow someone to speak directly with the individual, just because we usually don't know what people might say, and we try to be as honest with people as we can.
What hospital was he taken to?
I don't know exactly what hospital he's going to be taken to now. It's just going to be a local area hospital that I can tell you.
Any additional information you can give us on those felony warrants?
Right now, I don't know the details of all the warrants. The information related to me was that he had multiple felony warrants. So the exact charges related to them, I'm not 100% sure.
What kind of injuries did you say he had?
As far as I'm aware, it's only minor injuries.
And to confirm, he was never armed?
To my knowledge, correct. He was never armed.
Never had hostages?
Correct.
Everybody good?
Yep, thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. Will Dupree again in the KXAN Live studio. We just wrapped up that briefing from Officer Michael Bullock with the Austin Police Department's Public Information Office. And he was talking about the conclusion of this SWAT response. And from what we learned just a few moments ago, this situation spanned many locations and hours, a pretty wild scene that unfolded that led to this address there on Southport Drive in South Austin. What the officer said a few moments ago is that a suspect was seen breaking into some mailboxes in an apartment complex on South Lamar, and when police responded, they were able to apprehend him and take him to a hospital, where he also escaped and gained access somehow to a APD squad car and took that. And eventually, police say they were called to another apartment complex there where this press conference just took place on Southport Drive. They say that this suspect barricaded himself into at least 2 different units, and they were finally able to go in after quite a bit of time with the SWAT team and arrest this suspect. The police say that the suspect's father offered help. We managed to speak to him a little bit earlier, but they were able to bring the suspect into custody, and how he's being taken to the hospital to be checked out. Additional officers are going to be there to make sure that he doesn't escape again. Police say that this suspect, whom they have not identified and released his name just yet, had multiple felony warrants, and he will also be facing new charges based on this series of crimes that happened that began early this morning at about 3:13 or so. We will have much more information about this situation as it unfolded on our website, that's KXAN.com, and on the KXAN News app. You may have seen some of the push alerts as we've gotten updates about this throughout the day and this afternoon. So we'll have more details there. We should also say that a shelter in place has been lifted now in that area of South Austin. They had put that into effect a little bit earlier for residents in that area as a large law enforcement presence unfolded in the neighborhood. Thank you all again for watching. I'm Will Dupree in the KXAN Live studio. We appreciate you all. We will see you back here at another time with more updates and other information throughout the day. Thank you all again for watching. We'll see you here another time. Please, everyone, stay safe and take care.